Welcome to Soul Food with Chef LaKisha Harris. LaKisha Harris is the owner chef of Soul Filled Eateries in Muskegon, Michigan. Her love for cooking was influenced by her mother, who had a very successful catering business for 30 years. People from all over the country come to Muskegon to eat Chef LaKisha's turkey knuckles. Tonight, Chef LaKisha is coming to us from Kitchen 242, where she does a local TV cooking show. LaKisha will tell us her secrets to making the finest fried chicken, collard greens, and cornbread. And I understand my vocabulary is going to increase tonight by some terms that I'm not aware of. As she cooks, LaKisha's going to give us some history of soul food, tell how her family has influenced her cooking, and how she builds bridges with her food. Please welcome Chef LaKisha.
I'm really just excited all the time. Really, I'm excited to be with you. I'm excited about what you're going to learn. This will not be boring. Go get your boo, go get your kids, bring everybody, because you need to know about soul food. My name, Chef LaKisha Harris. I am a native of Muskegon, Michigan. We are filming at the Muskegon Farmers Market in Kitchen 242. Now, where is Muskegon? This is Michigan. Everyone knows that Michigan is the mitten. Right here is Muskegon. Right here is Detroit, and in the middle is Lansing. So we're on the West Coast, just across the water, just across Lake Michigan from Milwaukee, a little bit up the road from Chicago. So we are in a prime location. We have beautiful water, we have beautiful people, and you got beautiful Chef LaKisha cooking for you food. Yes, honey, I put on a dress, jewelry, makeup, hair to cook, right? I never know where my next husband is coming from. Is that appropriate to say? Anyways, so I'm here with my pastry chef and my assistant. Her name is Miss Katia Taylor. She is the owner of Katia Sweet Creations here in Muskegon, Michigan as well. And so we're so excited to be here in front of you. We're so excited for what we're going to present, and we're going to get started, right? So I'm so happy about what the Santa Clara County Libraries are doing to bring the importance of soul food and the heritage of African Americans to the forefront. Now, soul food derived out of the transatlantic slave trade, usually geared somewhere in Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama area. Those influences came together, and that's where soul food was birthed out of. Many times, the slaves received much of the discarded food, the things that the owners did not want, and we had to make meals of those things. And so over time and over history, people a lot of times say that soul food is unhealthy. That's not totally true. A lot of what was given to us was pork, because those animals were considered to be dirty and unwanted. So we were given pig feet, pig ears, pig tails to eat. And then you'd have potatoes and okra and greens that we would boil. The boiling of vegetables actually comes from our African roots. So that's something that the slaves brought over from Africa. A lot of the things like fufu and things that you will eat in Africa, the various stews, they come from a vegetable-based broth. And that's why collard greens, you see so much of that in the African-American food culture that was brought from Africa. So then we take what was discarded and we make meals of that. Sometimes people will say that's unhealthy, but not so. If you're a slave and you're working in the field all day, you need lots of protein, lots of carbohydrates, lots of vegetables to maintain your energy and strength, because you're working all day. Sometimes the female slaves were nursing even their master's children. And so they had to stay healthy so they could give milk to both their babies and their owner's children. So I'm here to tell you about soul food, the evolution of soul food. Now we're gourmet soul food, so to speak. And I'm so glad where we are and where we've come from. And we take nothing away from where we've been, but we definitely do not stay there. So when they call it comfort food, I want to say soul food, because as you see, we have no measuring cups. We have just the very, very basics to do what we need to do. We cook from our heart. We cook from our soul. We cook out of our emotions. And that is reflected in our food. So we're going to get started. I'm excited. We're going to start with collard greens. Now, I know everyone makes their collard greens differently. The collard greens that I'm going to show you are vegan friendly because, hey, vegans have soul too, right? So you want to, if you're at home and you're cooking with me, I want you to run into the kitchen, get a stock pot, fill it with water, and we want to put that on a high boil because we only have an hour to do this. Yes, you can make greens in an hour. Listen, my grandmother would start on Friday, we couldn't eat them to Sunday. Not so. So we have a little hack for that. Also, while you're running to the kitchen, if you have some baking soda, put a tablespoon of baking soda in the water that will tenderize the greens and get them faster. We're going to do them on a high rolling boil. So greens, we've all seen them. Turnips, collards, mustards, kale. The most popular within the African-American culture would have to be collard greens. I like to mix them all together. I mix collards, I mix turnips, mustard, and cabbage, and kale. However, for the sake of time and what we're doing, we're just going to start with our collard greens, right? So this stem, we're gonna break that stem, but we're gonna put it to the side because there is something that comes out of greens called pot liquor. Now, pot liquor is what's the juice that's remaining after you remove the vegetables. That pot liquor can be used again in other meals. When I was a child, my grandmother used to use it. If we were colicky, if we were sick, we would mix it with honey. And so we're not gonna do all that tonight because we only have a certain amount of time. So I'm gonna show you how to do your greens. You're gonna break the stem, okay? Then you're gonna fold it in half and you're gonna kind of go up that stem, right? As you go to the top, it's gonna become thinner and thinner. You're gonna take that, and I call these collard green sushi rolls because you roll it up as though you were rolling sushi and just begin to chop it, right? Some people would say, Julianne, we're not gonna get fancy nancy. Listen, I'll tell you something. Soul food cooking is about cooking from the heart. I'm gonna teach you a few words. If I say I'm gonna put in the tank, that means I'm putting in a little bit. I don't know if tank is in the dictionary, but I said it's in the Soul Filled Dictionary. So if I say tank, that's a little bit. If I say I'm finna, that means I'm about to. If I say wait a minute, that means wait a minute. These are all LaKisha words that I adapted from society, and I use them while I'm cooking. You will see me laugh. You will see positivity. I might sing. I'll try not to dance because I have 2 left feet. But I believe that whatever you put into your pot, whatever you put into your cooking is what people get out of it. So if you cook with love, when they eat your food, they're going to feel that. If you cook angry, if you slam your pots around, well, no one's going to like your food. That's all. Cook with love, cook happily. So that's what we do. Soul food is about that. It's a family affair. Families come together in the kitchen. Somebody's on the cornbread, somebody's on the macaroni and cheese. The most important person is the macaroni and cheese person. Because if you mess up macaroni and cheese in the African-American household, you get kicked out of the family for the rest of your life, right? We're not gonna do mac and cheese tonight. Too much pressure, okay? So again, take that stem up as high as you can. If you're at home, take that stem out. You don't have to break it all the way to the top. Let's make our collard green sushi roll. And then we're gonna thin slice that. I've seen people cut theirs in big chops. However it is you want to do it, that's up to you. I do it this way. Again, just because people are of the African-American culture or of African-American descent does not mean that we all prepare soul food the same way. Some influence comes from Georgia. Some influence comes from Alabama, Mississippi. You may have Floridian influence. You may have influence from South Carolina, which is more geechee and more of those influences. I even lived in Brazil. Guess what? The second largest amount of African people populated in one area is in Brazil. And so there's a different influence there. So the influence that comes from soul food, it just can come from anywhere. My grandmother was from Mobile, Alabama. My grandfather from Mississippi. They migrated north to come for work reasons. My grandfather began to work into a foundry, later became a supervisor. And so my influence of soul food cooking comes from both Alabama and Mississippi, which is a little different than Georgia. You know, Georgia, you see a lot of more sweet and savory dishes mixed together. So I'm gonna let Katia continue to work on the collard greens. You wanna do your vegetables first. So we're gonna go from our collard greens to our sweet potatoes. Let's switch. So now we're over here, sweet potatoes, yams, pretty much they're one and the same thing, okay? So when someone says they're cooking yams or sweet potatoes, this is what they're talking about. We're gonna peel this. I am a big advocate for being a realist. Not everyone has a potato peeler in their home. Get your knife, honey. Get your knife, go around there, and you just take the skin off the potato just as you would any other potato, okay? So we're taking off the skin. If you have yams at home, I know you can't do both at the same time. The great thing is Santa Clara County has already thought for us, so you can go back and you can watch this video to learn how to demo this, to do this, replicate this. So we're going to peel our yams, all right? And then, oh Lord. You can wash it. You can wash it. I'm washing my yam. Watch KT while I wash my yam. All right, how you guys doing tonight? Okay, she's back. She's crazy, but it works, right? So, hey, get your yam. And you're gonna slice it kind of thin. I've never really seen uniform yams because all yams are different, right? So you're gonna get some that look kind of round, some that look like an octagon, doesn't matter, okay? So we have our yams. We've already washed those yams. They're in this water. We're going to go over here. Behind me. Set up we have right here. Our water is boiling for our greens. We're gonna go over here and I'm gonna show you how to do yams really quickly, okay? All right. So in a skillet, you're going to remove your yams from the water. Do not put your water in. Take your yams out of the water. Put them in the skillet. Just like that. All right. Let's go over here. As we're moving around, people. We have a stick of butter. Now listen, when I say a taint in my greens and I say a taint in my yams, it's not the same taint. Just a taint is a taint. I'm gonna use a stick of butter, right? I'm gonna take that stick of butter, and you got your yams on maybe like a medium heat, a medium high, medium. Got my stick of butter. We're gonna put that in there with our yams. It doesn't have to be melted first. We're gonna incorporate this. Now, I have a taint of white sugar. How much is a taint? Cup, 2 cups, I don't know. Put it all in there. They're candy yams. They're supposed to be sweet. All right? So we're gonna turn it down. Low. Okay, and now we're gonna add some seasonings and some flavor to that. Everyone is different. Everyone seasons their yams differently. Again, my influence comes from Alabama. So Alabama style, some cinnamon. How much cinnamon? Right, a taint of cinnamon, a taint of nutmeg. Now listen, some people are not proponents of nutmeg. They hate it, right? But my thought is repurposing what we have. So after my yams are cooked, if I put nutmeg in them, they're ready for a sweet potato pie. There's a method to my madness, okay? So we're gonna add a little bit of nutmeg, not too much, it's overpowering. Vanilla extract. How much vanilla extract? That's a taint. You get it. Okay, the whole bottle. I don't know. Whatever. So here are yams. Now, there was a movie called Cat in the Hat. And Cat in the Hat featured Jim Carrey. There is my favorite line in that movie. He says, "Forget about it." And the kids say, "What?" He says, "Forget about it." That's what I want you to do with your yams. Forget about it. Leave them alone. Don't bother them. They're swimming in the pool. They're happy. Leave the kids in the pool. We'll come back and save them later, okay? So we're gonna cover our yams with a lid. Don't forget we have our boiling water going for our greens, so let's start seasoning that water, okay? We're gonna go over here. You still with me? You watching? You enjoying it? Good. This is the holy grail of the kitchen. I put onion soup mix in everything. I don't know why. I just like it. It's just wonderful. It has great flavor. It has more of a beef base, so I wouldn't use it in like a chicken gravy or anything like that. So we're gonna take 1 packet of onion soup mix. How much water is in our pot? 3/4 full, a little more than a tank, a hunk of water. We got a hunk of water. We're going to add one of those seasoning packets directly into the water. Another one of my favorites here in Michigan is 79 cents. Listen, baby, I cook on the budget. I believe in balling on the budget. You're going to get 3 bouillon cubes because, yeah, flavor, okay? So we're going to take our bouillon cube. Remember, mind you, I'm smiling the whole time I'm cooking because I want my food to be happy. So there's one. These are kind of salty, so, you know, you do have to proportion the ratio. Now listen, some people get afraid to use salt. Here's something you need to know. If you put too much salt on something, mix it off. Taste as you go. So you won't get a surprise at the end. You know, sometimes we wait till the end and we taste the mashed potatoes and we put too much of something in there. Taste it as you go along, and then you'll know, okay? So we're doing that. I don't have measuring cups. I make no apologies for that. Now, if I wasn't doing a vegan version of these collard greens, I would have used salt pork, fat back, ham hock, smoked turkey, depending upon what. Smoked turkey is very, very good with mustard and turnips. Collard greens are a little bit more bulky, so I would use more of a ham hock or something with my collard greens. Up to you. You do you, boo. However you do you. But, okay. So then we're going to get some. Yeah, and this is on your list. All these ingredients are on your list. We have some onion powder. How much to put in there? A tank. We're going to shake because we want our food to be happy, right? There's a tench of garlic. What's this? Onion powder. Thank you. Garlic powder. And Katia has cut up our collard greens. We're going to go and wash. She's going to go and wash those while we work on the next. It don't take all day to make good soul food. We have our yams going. We have our greens going. Now, what I need you to do, if you're finna fry some chicken, that's finna, sorry. If you're about to fry, you know what? My degree is in English. I do not speak proper English, but it just feels so much better when I say finna. So, I want you to get a skillet or a pot or your deep fryer. Air fryers, you know, I'm not against them, but authentic soul food fried chicken is deep fried. I'm about to teach you. Now listen, this made me famous. It's called Get Your Man Fried Chicken. This chicken will guarantee you a love connection. Now, I haven't found no Keep Your Man chicken, but you can get one and figure out the rest, okay? So I want you to get a skillet. I want you to put a pot or your deep fryer, and you're going to put the oil in it, okay? We're going to turn that on medium high as well. Because soul food cooking, you have to do a lot of things simultaneously in order to get the desired effect at the same time. So we're trying to do this all in an hour, right? So our yams are on, forget about it. Our greens are on a high boil, the highest temperature. Keep them boiling high. Now, if you have time and you want to cook them over a length of time, then you can cook them low and slow. We don't have that time. So we have our oil on. Let's go back over here and we're going to start on our fried chicken, okay? So I know in California, or so I've heard and or observed, that you are very health conscious. I want to defragment the myth that soul food has to be unhealthy. You can oven fry your chicken. It tastes just as good. Tonight I won't be using that method, but the same battering and breading method that I'm using, you can use for oven fried chicken. Oh, I forgot something. For your greens, apple cider vinegar, maybe 2 tablespoons. See, I didn't even say a tank, but it's a tank, right? I'm not going to use tablespoons. Greens are in there. Thank you. So I'm going to add apple cider vinegar. Me personally, I like to add jalapenos, maybe a couple jalapenos. I like it spicy. If you don't like spicy, that's fine. We have some crushed red pepper flakes, put a little bit in there, okay? One to bite you back a little bit when you eat it. So I like white meat chicken. Your choice. Maybe you have legs at home, thighs, wings. The thing about soul food is using what you have and enhancing that. So I can remember times as a child, I would go to my grandmother's house and she would have beans and cornbread on the stove and rice. The next day, that cornbread may be turned into dressing, which is in African-American culture, what we refer to often called stuffing. So that cornbread may be turned into dressing. If there was leftover rice, that would be turned into rice pudding. If there were leftover beans, that could be turned into bean pies or anything. So we take, in our culture, we take what we have and we make the most of it. You do not have to have the most expensive ingredients, the most expensive items to have a great meal. You can go right into your refrigerator, take what you have and enhance that. There's no pressure. The only pressure is to put your heart and your soul into what you're doing. While I'm working on the chicken, I'm going to have Katia slice an entire onion and a half of a bell pepper for me. We're going to cut those in little thin slices, and we're going to cut the onions thin as well. We're going to add that to our gravy. So she's going to work on that while I work on the chicken. Now, depending upon what chicken you have, if you have breast tenderloin like what I have here, I cut this part off. I don't know what it is, but I don't like to bite into it. So we're going to go in, cut that off, and examine your chicken. You know, look at it, make sure it's the way you want. We're just gonna go in and cut those little tips off of it. I don't know what those are, where those come from, but yeah, I don't like it. So let's get that out of there. Tough buddy. So, okay, so I don't want to be biased. For the fellas, this can be get your girl fried chicken too, right? So I'm not gonna be biased and just say this is get your man. Get you a boo fried chicken. How about that? I'm telling you, this is a true story. True story. So I had a supervisor at my job, and she really, really liked this guy. She knew I like to cook. So she says, "This guy is coming over for dinner tonight. I really don't know what to cook." I said, "You got some chicken at home?" She said, "Yeah, but chicken is." I said, "I'm telling you, if you make him this chicken, he's gonna marry you." So we laughed and we talked about it. Now, some 8 years later, they're still married, all because of this fried chicken. So, fried chicken is almost synonymous with soul food, right? When you think of soul food, the top 3 things I think, no, that's the top 5 things I think about. Fried chicken, greens, macaroni and cheese, cornbread, and peach cobbler. Like, any soul food restaurant you go to, they're going to have those staples. But also, any soul food restaurant you go to is going to do that differently. This is my version of fried chicken. This is what works for me. This is what tastes good. This is what, after trying all the different types of fried chicken over the years, what I think is the best recipe. So we got our chicken, right? And yeah, we cut off those little ugly parts. Now, here in the bowl, most people fry their chicken. Traditional fried chicken is done with all-purpose flour. I do use all-purpose flour, but that's not all that you use. Here in Michigan, we have something called cracked chicken. So I combine flour with cracked chicken seasoning. I also combine flour with Zatarain's lemon fish fry. This is Sylvia's crispy fried chicken batter. I mix them together. Now, here's what you have to be cautious of. A lot of these pre-bagged breadings already have seasoning. So you don't want to over-season your meat and then put it in a seasoned flour because it's going to cause issues for you. It's going to be too salty. And unfortunately, if your chicken is too salty, you can't rinse it off because then that turns into, I don't know, stew or something like that. That's not what we're trying to go for. So we're going to take that pre-seasoned breading, mix it in with flour, right? And our chicken. Listen, Lawry's seasoning salt will bless your life. If you don't have any Lawry's in your cabinet, go get some. Everything is already in it. So your paprika, your salt, your black pepper, it's all in here, right? So why do more? So we're gonna put a little Lawry's on there. How much? I know you're saying the tank at home. Yeah. We're family now. You're soul filled. You can say tank. And just a little bit of garlic and pepper seasoning. Why am I not using fresh garlic? Why am I not grounding my peppercorns? Because, honey, we don't have time to do all of that, right? If we want to be fancy Nancy, if we want to be gourmet, that's the way to go. I'm just telling you what happens in a real African-American kitchen. We're not about to go and ground no peppercorns. That's not going to happen. We go to the cabinet, we get some black pepper, and we season. Convenience. Also, it's very affordable, right? So this particular season, the garlic and pepper seasoning, I get it at the Dollar Tree. Now, I'm a little depressed that Dollar Tree is now $1.25 tree, but I'm getting over it. It hurt my feelings. So now at the $1.25 tree. So just lightly. This is salty, lightly. Now, here's the trick to get your man fried chicken. Mustard. What? Mustard. What? Mustard, honey. Now listen. I know somebody say, I don't like mustard. That tastes nasty. Oh my God, that's disgusting. You won't even taste it. We're doing it for color and for texture, right? Trust me, it's gonna help you get your boo. So here, got some mustard. Now, I am using regular yellow mustard. What's that? Is my yams? No, I think that's not more than okay. So I'm using regular yellow mustard. You can use a spicy brown. You do not want to use a honey mustard. Honey mustard has sugar in it. It will caramelize, and the outside of your breading will burn before your chicken is cooked entirely on the inside. So we're gonna rub it, we're gonna massage it. Talk to your chicken. You're gonna be so good. I'm so proud of you. You're gonna taste so amazing. You're gonna help nourish someone today. I talk to my food. I do. Have you ever seen the movie like Water for Chocolate? So there was this movie. It's called like Water for Chocolate. It's a Hispanic movie, and in this movie, the main character was a chef. Everything that she was feeling and experienced as she cooked will come out in her food. If she was experiencing anger, as the person would eat, they would become angry. If she was experiencing sadness, as they would eat, they would become sad. So I've adapted that to my lifestyle. Like when I cook, I consciously think about positivity. If I'm cooking and I know someone is sick, I'm constantly thinking about prayer and healing. If I'm cooking and someone is sad, I try to think happy thoughts. And guess what? Once I start doing that, I forget about my own troubles or my own sorrows. So that's what soul food cooking is about. It's about love, about family, about getting a desired result out of your meal. We don't just cook to cook. We don't just cook to eat. We want you to literally just like sit back and snap your fingers and rock your head and shrug your shoulders. If you don't do that, then I didn't do my job, okay? So after you coat it with mustard, and you're going to be very generous. Very, very generous. I promise you, you're not going to taste the mustard. I'm telling you the truth. I wouldn't lie to you. Honestly, you won't. So we're going to put that in here. And let's coat that. Now, when it comes out of the coating, you kind of want to kind of pat it on there, right? Because that's going to give you the crispy texture. When it comes out of the coating, shake off the excess, and we're going to put it in our oil. So I'm going to put it in here, right? Anybody cooking with me? If you are, this will be a good time to kind of catch up, because while we're battering our chicken, I'm so excited. So over in California, it's what, about 7:30? It's 10:30 here. Grandma LaKisha is usually in bed by now. So I must love you Californians to be doing this. And then also, I mean, who wouldn't make a sacrifice for the state that now hosts our Super Bowl champions? Congratulations, Los Angeles Rams. You know, Stafford came over from Michigan. I'm not talking about the team. I'm just saying he was Michigan-defied before he got to California. So yeah, we're family. No, so congratulations to Matthew Stafford, state of California. But yeah, he came from Michigan. Don't forget that. Okay, let's go fry our chicken. All right, here we go. Ready? Now, how do you know if your oil is too hot, if it's ready? You're gonna just do a little test with the flour. If it rises to the top and begins to sizzle out, it's ready. If it burns immediately, your oil is too hot. If it does nothing at all, your oil is not hot enough. So we're gonna put them in there. Doesn't take a long time. Our greens are going, our yams are cooking. I will go over, KT, if you wouldn't mind, stir the yams a little bit now, because they should be making a caramelization. They should be caramelizing and making a syrup. So we're gonna put those in there. If you could smell this, honey, I'm telling you, this is going to be some amazing chicken. I talked to it, I coached it. It doesn't become amazing on its own. You have to invest in your chicken, okay? So we have our chicken frying. Our greens are going now. Now, remember, because we're cooking these so rapidly, hello, lights. Because we're cooking these so rapidly, we're going to add a tablespoon of baking soda to make sure they're tenderized, okay? I'm going to take off my gloves. See those yams? Well, here's our chicken. Nice and golden brown color. You determine. I like to cook my chicken a little bit longer. I like it crispy. Yeah. So you determine how hard or how you want your chicken. It will remain juicy. Something that the mustard does just keeps it that way. So yeah. So I'm gonna put tortilla on the chicken. Now, when the chicken is ready to come out of the skillet, typically you can strain that on a baker's rack. Traditionally, to be honest with you, in most African American homes, you just use a plate, a pan, a pot, and you put paper towel on the inside, and you put that on top of there to wait for the grease to drain off the chicken, because you don't want to eat it just right out the grease. That's not going to be good. So you want to get something to strain it on. Okay. Oh, we got our greens going. Look, it's only been 35 minutes. I told you it doesn't take all day. We have our greens going. We have our fried chicken. We have our yams. Now over here, back here in a little pot, I just have some regular water boiling. We're gonna make hot water cornbread. So most of you have had the cornbread that you compose and you put in the oven. This recipe takes about, I'm gonna say about 5 minutes. I'm gonna show you how to make hot water cornbread. And then repurposing is really big in the African American culture. So once we use our oil, if it's not maybe fish that's cooked in it, we repurpose that. We repurpose bacon grease. We repurpose all of those things. So the same oil that we fried the chicken in, we're gonna make our cornbread in. You ready? Come on, let's go over here. So it's important that you have a cornmeal mix and not cornmeal. Cornmeal mix already has salt, baking soda, a lot of components in it that you will use. If you just use cornmeal, you're not going to get the same result. It has to be cornmeal mix. So we're going to get our cornmeal mix. Martha White, I prefer a buttermilk cornmeal mix, but I don't know what's going on in the grocery stores around here, but you can almost find nothing right now. So we're going to use this Martha White hot rice, just as good. And we're going to doctor it up a little bit. So I would say about 3 cups of cornmeal mix, and then a half a cup of flour. You don't need egg. My mother, she used to put a little bit of sugar in there. It's up to you if you want that sweet component. I typically put a little bit of sugar in that as well as in my collard greens as well to take that bitterness away. So you will see that here I have a bowl of water as well. Now the key to good hot water cornbread is it not sticking to your hands. So you keep a bowl of water with it so that you can wash your hands in between the rolling process. So Katia, do you mind giving me some sugar right there? I'm gonna put a little bit of sugar in our greens. I'm gonna put a little sugar in here. So in the meantime, just as we evolve as a people, it's very important to me that soul food is no longer viewed as something that slaves eat. We are no longer enslaved. We are a free people with a free mindset. Katia. We are free people with a free mindset. That being said, you can now look at soul food as something that is gourmet, as something that is elegant, and eloquent. And that's what all we're doing. We're just elevating what maybe others saw a certain way, and we're bringing it to the forefront to say, hey, we're not embarrassed of the way we cook. We can make a healthy version of it. We can make an authentic version. We use, sorry. We're getting it together, okay? So we can make a healthy version of soul food. We can make an authentic version. So there are some instances where I'm using vegetable oil. You may use olive oil. Some instances where I'm using butter. You may choose to use something different. It's all a matter of choice and preparation. Real authentic soul food is no longer slave food, honey. It's comfort food, but it's more than just that. It is our way of storytelling. It is a preservation of our heritage. With so many things that have been stripped from us in our migration from where we've come from, this is the one thing that remains steady in the African American culture. That is our faith, the importance of church, belief, religion in our culture, the importance of our food within our culture, and the importance of music and song and storytelling. These are things that are all authentic to the African American culture. And guess what? You get that in a soul food experience. If you go into a soul food restaurant, most times there's music playing, the ambiance is very nice. You see somebody's 50-year-old, 55, no, 50's not old anymore, right? Because I'm almost 50. Okay, so you see someone's 90-year-old grandmother, back there still stirring with, she's not using the KitchenAid, honey. She's using elbow grease, right? This is what we do. This is our authenticity. So, hey, I got off on a tangent. I want to let you know we're going somewhere. So, we're going to add a little bit of sugar, not a lot of sugar, just a little bit. A little bit of sugar. Let's go over to our greens and add a little bit of sugar too. Now to those greens, we've added that entire onion and the sliced bell pepper as well. So that's in our pot now. Some people will say, oh my gosh, she just messed up the greens. This is my greens. This is how I make my greens. You can omit the sugar. This is just the way I do it, okay? So here in this bowl, we have our cornmeal mix, flour, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt. That's it. That's all. We're going to get our hot water. I got the mitten all the way over there. Sorry, people, we're getting our exercise. Huh? Oh, okay. So our yams are done. That only took about, 20 minutes, right? So we're going to get our hot water. We're going to take it, and we're going to pour that hot water directly into our mixture. That is a spoon or a. So again, this is the way I do hot water cornbread. I've seen it made all kind of ways. This is the way my mother made it. She was an excellent cook. You're gonna add the hot water. It should not be crumbly at all. So you keep adding water until the entire mixture becomes moist. Just add a little at a time. You don't want to add too much water because you don't want to over. And what the hot water is doing, it's already forming a base and kind of cooking the meal. So it won't taste mealy when you eat it, kind of cooking it. And it has to be boiling hot water. I've seen people try to do this with water from the microwave. Yeah, it can work, but I think it works best when you boil it on the stove. So there we go. So we're incorporating that. If for some reason you added too much water, it's okay. Add a little bit more of your cornmeal mix, and you'll be just fine. We're gonna take out our chicken. I'm gonna come over here and see what our chicken is looking like. You see how beautifully brown that chicken looks? That came from the mustard. We're gonna take that out. And again, just a paper towel. Fried chicken. It's just about ready. Come on. That's ready. See? It doesn't take all day, people. That took us about 10 minutes or so. Okay. So now, that same oil that we use, here we go. We're gonna put our hands in the cold water. This water is cold, right? You're gonna grab your mixture, roll it into a ball, pat it down, and put it in the skillet as well. Again, I'll show you. I personally want it a little bit more dry, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more cornmeal mix. This is what soul food cooking is about. You adjust as you go. You don't have to feel like if you made a mistake, you have to stick with it. No, just make it right, right? So there we go. That's a little bit better. So heat it in our cold water. Take it, form it into a ball. Add it out. And this is some of the best, like, this cornbread is better than regular cornbread anything. And we're gonna put it right there in the same skillet we just fried our chicken. Now you're a pro. So hopefully you're enjoying this. Hopefully you're taking notes. You don't want to make them too big because then they'll be doughy in the middle. So think about the size. And what you'll also find is if you do not dip your hand in the water before you put it in the mixture, they will stick to your hand. So that's a requirement. That's not something that can be omitted. So we have our cornbread. Our yams are done. Our greens are just about done. Our chicken is done. I'm telling you, this will get you a boo. I promise you it will. So let's see. Let's get this area cleaned up a little bit so that we can get ready to play. Now, this is my favorite part because sometimes when I see soul food, it looks like it's just been thrown together, you know, kind of slapped all. No, we can make it look gourmet, very nice, very. Take our time to make it very intricate and beautiful. Again, this is my version. Someone from Georgia may do theirs differently. Someone, you know, it's about preserving your roots. It's about doing things the way that you were taught. So, yeah, so I'm going to teach my daughter to make her soul food this way. And hopefully my grandchildren in the years to come, they will hold on to this because this is what I saw my grandmother do. This is what I saw my mother do. And it works. Everyone's loved. I honestly, I don't know what it feels like to have a mother that can't cook. Like my whole family could cook growing up. So I have 5 aunts and my mother had a twin brother. So if you can imagine, they all took what my grandmother taught them and they all handled it differently. You know, they all prepared it differently, but in the end, it was all delicious because we had the core foundation that came from our heritage. Thank you, ma'am. See my space, move this over. I want you to see what I'm doing. Yeah, okay. So cornbread. Turn it over. So, believe it or not, we've done all that in just a little bit of time. I feel like I've been talking for 10 minutes, but I know it's been a lot longer than that. So let's play, okay? Now, this is important. Where you put food on your plate is important, right? Because you don't want the juice from the greens to run over and to make your chicken soggy and to make your yams. And so I personally will put my greens into their own different bowls. We're gonna do the greens last because if in fact you're making this at home right now, that's the very last thing you want to mess with because we want to get those as tender as possible. So here, I have my chicken. I am a little OCD. All my chicken has to face the same way. I don't know why, because it just looks better that way. Some chicken. There's our chicken. Let's go over and check on our yam. We don't want to see those yams right. We don't want to see the yams right now. Okay, so listen to this. Forget about your yams, but don't forget about it. Forget about it, but don't forget about it, okay? We forgot about it. So yeah, we're not gonna show you those yams, but yeah, okay. So anyways, this is real cooking in the kitchen. I burn stuff all the time. Hey, I think I'm an awesome chef, right? So yeah. We're gonna ignore those yams. Let's get our greens, okay? No, let's get our cornbread first. Katia, do you mind the parsley, chopping up a little bit of that for me? So if you want to come over here and look, I just want to give a shout out to Andy O'Reilly. He is the director and producer. No, don't look at him. Those are, what do you call, those are Cajun yams. We meant to do that. Cajun yams. Yeah, Katia, listen, I was cooking. Katia did that. Oh, Lord have mercy. No. They still got some butter and love on top. Katia burnt the yam chop. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. All right, so we're gonna get our cornbread out. I'm telling you, these young kids. So there's our hot water cornbread. That's what it should look like. It could be larger or smaller. While that's straining, let's get our greens. I know my greens are right. That part I do. Lord have mercy. I was trying to thank Andy O'Reilly, who's my videographer and the producer of my cooking show, and the most wonderful guy behind the Muskegon channel, where you can see all of our cooking demos. He's here in the middle of the night with me doing this at Kitchen 242. Love you, Andy, right? Don't get them. So here go your greens, right? If there was turkey, ham hock, whatever in there, it would begin to disintegrate. You want to break that apart. You just don't want to put a big old piece of fat back on somebody's plate, right? So go ahead, get that out. A lot of useless. We don't use this. Okay, so again, we're going to use the juice from the collard greens. Once we take the greens out, we're going to save that pot liquor. And you can use that as a base for soups, stews, whatever. So, thank you, ma'am. So this is just, no, you didn't burn the parsley. Very good. It's okay, honey, it happens. That's why they give you a whole bag of yams, because if you burn 3, go back and make your own 3 more. Yeah. Cut a little lemon. Here in Michigan, it's really big for us to put lemon pepper on our chicken after it's cooked. It's up to you. I just like to use it a little bit for garnish. I'll put my greens right here. See, it looks fancy. And some hot water cornbread. Now listen, this is my disclaimer. And I say this all the time. I don't care what people say. When I come out the house, I have my makeup on, my hair is done, my lashes are done. I make myself up, right? Not everybody does that. That's what works for me. Same as with my food. I put parsley on my food because it's the makeup to make your food pretty. Yeah, you can use arugula, bay leaves, all these different things. Parsley is my thing. To me, it doesn't have a taste. Some people say it tastes like, I don't really taste it. But I sprinkle a little parsley. I put a little extra on my plate just for decor. Right? Let's move it out of the way. So, here we go. In just 52 minutes, we have made collard greens, fried chicken, and hot water cornbread. Now, I gotta teach you something. This is the last thing you need to know. None of this requires a fork, knife, or a spoon. Say what? No, honey. This is called sopping. So, you take your cornbread, you put it in the greens, you sop it up. Sop it up. It don't require no, okay, you gotta blow it off on the side, right? You don't need no fork. Okay, you can use a fork and knife. I mean, if you're at a restaurant, yeah, but if you're at home, collard greens and cornbread, you with your fingers. Child. We did that in 50 minutes. Now, as for the yams, don't ask about it. Our chicken, look. Nice, juicy, tender. crispy. The mustard did that. So there you go. So now.
It looks delicious.
Yay, it is. Do you have smell-o-vision? Smell-o-vision, taste-o-vision. But yeah, so typically, this is just something you can do. It does not take all day. It's made from the heart. It just made me happy to eat some. I mean, like, I want to eat some more, but I have to answer your question. So I'm ready for questions.
Sure. And just to remind the people who are watching that you can put questions in the Q&A, and I'm going to read them out. And we do have our first question. How long did you cook the collard greens in water?
So the water was already boiling when I began, and they cooked the entire time of the instructions. So about 45 minutes. But what made them tender enough to make it ready to eat that quick, you have to add some baking soda. If you do not, they will not be ready. So add some baking soda, which you probably have in the door of your refrigerator to keep it smelling good.
I like that tip about baking soda. I didn't know about that. I, of course, knew about salt, but didn't know baking soda as well.
It tenderizes vegetables. Any vegetable that you're trying to cook that may take, some time, add baking soda and it will tenderize it for you.
The same person said, what about the vitamin C loss by cooking the collard greens in the water?
Oh, yeah. So to be honest with you, I just believe in being transparent. We probably cook all the nutrients out of our greens. If you wanted to kind of keep and preserve those vitamins that are in the collard greens, your iron, your vitamin C and all those things, I would say go to more of a stir fry method and don't boil them. So I would use a wok or something similar, add chicken broth and cook it that way. They will not be as tender as these greens, but that way you can preserve, the vitamins that you want to get out of it. Also, if you do cook it this way and you cook the vitamins out, you have pot liquor, right? So from that pot liquor, you can still get a lot of those nutrients and turn it into a soup. Or you may want your greens a little bit more soup-based. Keep the pot liquor in there, and that's going to give you your vitamins. You didn't lose them. They just took a vacation into the broth.
All right. What kind of oil did you use when you cooked the chicken?
I use vegetable oil. You can use canola oil. You can use peanut oil. I would stay away from olive oil because it burns a little bit faster. So vegetable oil, canola oil, or peanut oil are the best way to go. Come over here on camera, girl. Take credit for burning the meals.
And do you ever reuse the oil? Do you drain it or strain it and you reuse it?
Absolutely. So this oil I could use again to make more cornbread, to fry more chicken. You would put it into a calendar or a sifter of sorts, get all of the extra thing, the things that come from the flour out of the oil. I used it in my collard greens to add flavor to that. I use it to fry bacon sometimes when I want to make a bacon fat. So yes, you can reuse your oil. Now you can't reuse it over and over and over and over again because it's going to scorch and have a burnt taste to it. So I would say maybe 2 or 3 times. I've used a lot of times I use it to fry fish in, because fish has a cornmeal batter and that gets nooky. So yeah, you can reuse your oil. I would encourage you to. All
right. So your mom influenced your cooking. How about the next generation? Does their daughter, or if you have nieces and nephews, are they interested in cooking as well? So the interest does not naturally come per se, because we have a society now where we microwave everything. We go to the different fast food chains. So you have to invest into the education of your children. I will teach my daughter how to plant a garden. She's 10 years old. She will know how to plant a garden. She will know how to can and preserve. And that's something I also try to do within the community. So in the summer, during summer school and some of the more at-risk communities, I try to teach them vegetable basics, how to make meals, how to compose, how to take something from the farm and make it something fresh. Now, we're not deconstructing chicken. We're not, doing all of those things, but I think that it's the way that my grandmother taught me. I can remember times when everyone was playing outside and she would sit me on the counter and show me how to roll out biscuits. And we didn't have a rolling pin. You would just get a can of canned goods, take the paper off and roll that out, how to cut it with a cup. So those are things that need to be reintroduced to our culture because it won't just happen by osmosis. We have to teach our children
Just as we teach them to succeed in every other area, we have to teach them to cook. We have to teach them to garden. We have to teach them farming. We have to teach them preserving and canning. And though we may have some shortcuts, I think that the most value that we'll find is authentically doing it as our ancestors did.
All right. Well, you're famous for your your turkey knuckles. Can you explain what turkey knuckles are, and is it tasty, and is it your original recipe?
Listen, let me tell you about turkey knuckles. The knuckles come from Muskegon, Michigan only. Only our turkeys have knuckles. No one else's turkeys have knuckles in the whole wide world. Our turkeys have knuckles. So it sounds 20 times worse than it actually is. It is actually the meat kind of at the lower thigh joint around the knee. So turkeys don't have fingers and toes, right? So it's not something that comes from the hand or from the feet. It's the meat around the knee joint. It's kind of like a turkey rib tip. So if you've ever had rib tips before, turkey knuckles is like a dark meat. It's very tender. It has gristle. You take the gristle. You don't eat the gristle. You eat the meat around it. And they are delicious. We put them in barbecue sauce traditionally here, or gravy, soups, stews, and we barbecue them. We deep fry them. Chili. Yeah. Chili. Turkey knuckle chili. Yeah, so turkey knuckles are amazing. Now, if you guys want to fly me to California and I'll bring some knuckles with me, I'm going to turn the whole United States upside down with this. I promise you, like, by the end of my journey, Oprah, President Biden, Steve Harvey, all of those wonderful people are going to have turkey knuckles. That's my dream, right? So we take this, you can only find it in Muskegon, Michigan. Even if you Googled it, it will say a delicacy found in Muskegon, Michigan. So I grew up all my life eating this. You can put it in dressing, you can put it in your collard greens, you can put it in soups and stews. We were eating it all our lives, and I didn't realize until I began to travel, I went to college, that you can only get turkey knuckles here. I don't know why we don't outsource them. I don't know why we don't ship them other places. So, I'm on a mission to take turkey knuckles across the world. Even if I have to drive across the world in my Ford Flex, I'm taking turkey knuckles everywhere. So if you want some California, tell me. I'll bring them to you.
Well, talking about travel, when you're in high school, you were selected as a Rotary exchange student and spent a year in Brazil. How did that experience influence your cooking?
So in going to Brazil, I was kind of taken back so much to speak, believe it or not, to my roots. So the same thing I saw my family doing growing up, when I went to Brazil, it was the same way. They were a third world country. I saw them surviving off rations, portion food. So every month the family gets a bag of beans, a bag of rice, a little bit of vegetables, and you make it work. So what I began to do was look at the different flavors that they were using. They use a lot more fresh papaya and mango and guava and sea salt. So things that I didn't see traditionally here in the United States. I took what I ate there and I was like, ooh, I need to take this home. And I brought that home and I tweaked it. So a lot of what I do has a lot of Latino influence and Brazilian influence, because when I was in Brazil, much like the United States, so we have Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. That's how countries are in South America. So I was able to go to Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and taste those foods, bring those influences back to the United States. And a lot of what I do, a lot of what I use, adobo seasoning, the garlic, the freshman scarlet, all those things come from Brazilian and Latino influence. So I brought it home, and I've taken Brazilian soul and made it Afro soul, so to speak.
All right. And anyone else who wants to ask questions, make sure to use that Q&A. And I just have a couple more, and we'll go from there. When we talked earlier, you mentioned breaking down barriers between people and cultures. How does your cooking help establish relationships with people of differing backgrounds?
For me, it's important to me that when you see the hue of my skin, it does not change the condition of my heart. So I cook with my heart. That's what soul food is. And that attracts other like-minded people who can look past the exterior and find commonality, because we all have to eat. So even though we're in Muskegon, Michigan, and this is 2022, this is one of the most segregated cities in the state of Michigan. We have a group of people, a culture that lives on one side of the city, another culture that lives on the other side, and we kind of meet in the middle. So I was not too shy to say, hey, I'm not going to leave my food with just my culture. It's not special to my culture. Within my culture, every household on every block has someone that can cook soul food. So why don't I take it to someone that's not African American, someone that is Chinese, someone that is Latino, someone that is Italian? And what I started to do was do collaborations with other restaurants that don't do soul food. So even this month, we have a soul food pizza coming out, and we have soul food. We have a fried chicken pizza coming out with a local Italian restaurant. We have a turkey knuckle loaded fry that's going to be coming out with a hamburger, one of the top hamburger restaurants here in the area. We have a lemon pound cake cotton candy that's going to be debuting as well with a local cotton candy distributor, right? So what I did was I didn't wait for anyone to give me permission to introduce myself. And I never made apologies for who I am in my culture. I'm proud of this. I want to present it. And so that's what I do. Every time I get an opportunity to leave the community with which I'm comfortable and go somewhere else and spread this love, because that's what soul food cooking is, it's love. And people eat my food and they're like, oh my God, even if they're German, this reminds me of my grandma's house. Even if they're Italian, oh my God, this reminds me of my nana. If they're Chinese, whatever, it just takes you back to a nostalgic place in your life where you were with family and you felt love. That's what soul food cooking is. It really is.
So thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.